On her first flight, she discovered an unexpected connection that changed their lives forever. Mia's heart raced like the plane she was about to board. At 17, she knew this flight could elevate her dreams of soaring into the sky, far from her small, financially strapped town in Ohio. The summer aviation program awaited her like a golden ticket. She climbed aboard, gripping her homemade cookies as if they were charms of good fortune. As she nestled into her seat, the air crackled with the energy of adventure. A gentle nudge interrupted her thoughts. Beside her sat George, an elderly war veteran with a face lined by time and experience. His candy stash a kaleidoscope of colors spilled into the space between them. "You got any good snacks, young lady?" he quipped, a twinkle in his eye. "Only the finest homemade cookies," she said, offering him one. He chuckled, accepting it gratefully. "Much better than my Sugar Rush stash. Got them straight from the heart of Ohio?" "That's the plan," Mia replied, eyes sparkling as they shared a laugh. But as laughter faded, Mia's thoughts turned to the weight she carried. Financial pressures pressed down on her, the expectations stacked high. "You know, I'm the first from my family to chase college," she confessed, glancing at George. "It's like I have this huge responsibility to succeed. Sometimes the burden feels crushing." George's expression softened as he shifted closer. "I remember the weight of expectations," he said, voice low. "But my battle was on the field. I lost friends, faced fears, felt their sacrifices heavy on my shoulders. It's a duty to remember what they gave up." The turbulence struck suddenly, jolting the plane and sending chills down Mia's spine. Anxiety whipped through her as the plane buckled, doubt clawed at her confidence. "It's okay," George murmured, sensing her fear. He clasped her hand tightly, grounding her. "Let me tell you about bravery. The moments I witnessed in combat, the terror, the loss, but also the grit of fighting through. Fear is a part of life. What matters is what you do next." His stories painted vivid images, like snapshots from a movie. Mia listened intently, feeling a connection deepen between them. As the plane shook, she focused on George's voice, his presence nudging her fears aside like clouds revealing a clear sky. Once they landed, Mia felt lighter, transformed by their exchange. Inspired by George's spirit, she knew she had to make a difference in her community, especially for veterans like him. After months of hard work rallying her friends and family, Mia launched an initiative aimed at supporting local veterans. Each day brought her closer to her dreams of flight and community upliftment. Not long after, she received a prestigious scholarship funding her aviation dreams. As she stood on the stage, award in hand, the light glinted off the trophy like hope shining through hardship. The audience waited quietly for her speech, but Mia felt an emptiness inside her. Her journey was just one thread in the vast tapestry of struggle and sacrifice. Summoning courage, she began to share her mission to aid veterans. But before she could finish, a sudden announcement echoed from the back of the auditorium, halting her words. Heart stopped, and silently, Mia thought, what would come next could change everything, and she had no idea if it was for better or worse. A hush fell over the auditorium, thick enough to slice through with a knife. Mia's heart thudded in her chest, the spotlight now feeling like a heavy weight. Everyone turned, shifting their attention to the back where a figure stood, cloaked in shadow. "Mia! Wait!" A voice called out, breaking the tension. It was Jake, her childhood friend, rushing through the crowd, pushing past the rows of confused spectators. Mia's stomach dropped as she registered his frantic expression. He was panting like he had just run a marathon. "I'm sorry to interrupt," he gasped, "but you need to hear this now." The audience murmured, eyes darting between Mia and Jake. Curious and anxious, they leaned forward, sensing the urgency hanging in the air. "What is it?" Mia asked, her pulse racing. She could feel George's gaze on her, urging her to keep it together. Jake caught his breath, then blurted out, "There's something you need to know about your scholarship. It's tied to funding from a corporation that employs veterans." They want to meet you. They think your project is incredible. A wave of relief washed over Mia, but it was quickly drowned by confusion. Meet me? Why? She asked, her emotions a tumultuous storm. They see potential in you, Mia. They want to help more than just fund your education. They want to connect you with veterans who can guide you, mentor you. They want to showcase your initiative too. This could mean big things for everyone involved. Hope flickered in Mia, igniting the courage building inside her. Really? She whispered, disbelief mingling with cautious excitement. But then doubt crept back in. But what if I mess it up? What if I can't live up to their expectations? Hey, Jake said, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. You already did that. You're here. You've made a difference. The crowd began to buzz again, anticipation growing. When George finally spoke, his voice steady yet warm, everyone went silent. Young lady, he said, the chance to inspire change is in your hands. Don't be afraid of it. This is your moment. Mia looked into George's kind eyes and was reminded of his stories, of bravery and pushing through fear. Somehow, that courage recharged her spirit. When the applause finally rang out, it felt like a tidal wave, lifting Mia high, her doubts drifting away like rust. For the first time, she felt the universe conspiring for her. As she stepped off the stage, Jake at her side, Mia could feel a new sense of purpose blossoming within her. What do you think they want from me? She asked. I think they want to see who you are, how you've already made an impact, Jake replied, his voice full of encouragement. And I think they're going to be impressed. Mia smiled, but as they walked out of the auditorium into the sunlight, an unsettling nag tugged at her. The thought crept in again, what if they didn't like her? What if her vision was naive? And as she gazed out at the horizon, her mind racing with possibilities, she couldn't shake the feeling that the next chapter of her life was about to unfold in ways she never expected. She took a deep breath, knowing this was just the beginning of the journey, a journey that could change everything. What awaited her at that meeting? Would they truly understand her vision, or would it all come crashing down? The meeting was set for the following week, a date that felt both impossibly far away and too close at the same time. Mia tossed and turned through sleepless nights, her mind swirling with visions of what might happen. Every day was filled with anticipation, as she practiced her pitch, refined her ideas, and pushed away the creeping doubts that whispered in her ear. Mia, you're going to knock this out of the park, Jake said one afternoon as they sat in their favorite coffee shop. He looked across the table, his eyes bright with encouragement. Just remember, they want to hear your story, your passion. Mia took a sip of her coffee, the warmth seeping into her fingertips. I know. It's just, what if they think my vision is too idealistic? What if I can't connect with the veterans the way I hope? Jake smiled softly, his gaze steady. You will. You've always had this way about you, Mia. It's like you can see things from so many perspectives. Trust that. As the day approached, Mia found herself wandering through memories of her childhood, her interactions with veterans in her community. She'd always admired their strength and resilience. Those men and women were living stories of sacrifice and bravery. Suddenly, the idea of connecting with them felt less daunting and more like a privilege. On the day of the meeting, Mia dressed carefully, choosing a navy blouse that reminded her of the deep sea and an airy skirt that swayed with each step. She stepped out of her front door, the sunlight washing over her, a gentle reminder that this was a new dawn. As she made her way to the meeting location, her heart thumped with excitement. When she arrived at the corporation's headquarters, a modern glass building shimmering in the sunlight, she felt positive energy buzzing through the atmosphere. The receptionist greeted her warmly, and Mia could see others milling about, each person a story waiting to unfold. Mia was guided to a conference room adorned with photographs of veterans, each framed within stories of bravery. Her nerves sparked again, but she breathed deeply, letting the reminders of resilience melt some of the pressure before her. Slowly, the representatives entered, each one a face of experience and wisdom. They smiled, creating a welcoming environment that eased her tension. "Thank you for being here, Mia," began the tall man with a kind voice, introducing himself. "We've read about your project, and we're eager to learn more about you." That's all it took. As she began to speak, her nerves faded. She poured her heart into her presentation, sharing not only the details but also the dreams she held for helping veterans reintegrate. She spoke of mentorship, community engagement, and the potential for growth among everyone involved. As the minutes passed, she observed the reactions around the room, seeing nods of understanding and interest. It felt right, this was the connection she had hoped for. After wrapping up, she opened the floor for questions. One of the women leaned forward. "What inspired you to reach out to veterans specifically?" Mia hesitated for just a moment, then recalled the warm stories her grandfather had shared of his service. "My grandfather was a veteran," she said softly. "His stories shaped my understanding of bravery and the weight of sacrifice. I feel it's my duty to honor that." Visibly moved, the representatives exchanged glances. "You've got a deep connection," a man said, his voice rich with appreciation. "That human element is vital." Mia inhaled deeply, feeling a wave of hope wash over her. She had forged a connection not just with them, but with her own past, allowing her memories of love and resilience to propel her forward. As the meeting wrapped up, the tall man said, "What you've shared today is powerful. We're excited to collaborate." Mia's heart swelled, but a flicker of uncertainty remained. Could this really be the start of something transformative for them all? As she stepped out of the building, her heart soared with possibilities. But there lingered a question in her mind: how far would this journey take her, and what sacrifice would it demand in return? Mia stepped out into the warmth of the day, her mind still echoing with the weight of the meeting. The tall man's simple words, "We're excited to collaborate," looped in her head like a soothing mantra. Hope surged through her, but it was quickly intertwined with a familiar knot of anxiety. What does collaboration really mean? She pondered as she made her way home. The bustling streets felt different now, each passerby a potential face in a future where her dreams might come true. Yet, with each step, she couldn't help but reflect on the sacrifices she had made to get to this point: long nights of studying, countless hours spent volunteering, and the time she had taken away from her friends. Was she ready to give even more? That evening, she sifted through her notes again, her fingers tracing the words of her pitch. But instead of feeling excitement, doubt crept in, tightening its hold around her heart. She pulled out her phone and sent Jake a quick text: "I need to talk. Can we meet?" Later that night, they sat outside on her porch, a warm breeze swirling around them. Jake's presence was comforting, and as he leaned forward, Mia could see concern etched on his face. "Talk to me," he urged gently. "What if I can't handle this? What if I fail? What if I let them down?" She threw the words out like a litany of fears, each one hitting the air with a heavy thud. Jake shifted, his expression softening. "Mia, everyone feels that way at the start. It's part of being human. But remember, the fact that you care so much means you're already ahead of the game. Just think about what your grandfather would say. He'd be proud of you." His words momentarily quieted the storm inside her. The image of her grandfather smiling, proud and strong, flashed through her mind. She could almost hear his voice, filled with encouragement. "You have the heart to change lives, Mia." But then, a wave of discomfort washed over her. Would her vision resonate as deeply with others? Would the veterans she hoped to help see the same light in her words that she saw in her dreams? Consumed by this uncertainty, Mia realized she hadn't considered the actual stories of the veterans, what they would think, feel, and need from her. "I have to meet them," she said suddenly, a new determination igniting within her. "What do you mean?" Jake raised an eyebrow. "I need to connect with them directly, listen to their stories. I can't just dive into this project without understanding their experiences." The words flowed, a mixture of resolve and urgency. Jake nodded. "That's it. If anything can bridge the gap, it's genuine conversation and understanding. With this new goal, Mia suddenly felt lighter, as if a weight had been lifted. She rifled through her bag for the contact information she had collected from the veterans organizations she had approached in the past. There, glimmering with potential, was a list of names and phone numbers. Before she could hesitate, she dialed the first number. The sound of ringing filled the air as anticipation bubbled in her chest. Then came a friendly voice on the line. "Hello." As Mia introduced herself, a spark of excitement ignited. She was no longer just pitching ideas, she was reaching out to the very people who had inspired her. This was the moment she had been waiting for, a chance to understand and forge real connections. "I'd love to hear your story," she said, her heart racing. "When can we meet?" But just as the conversation flowed, a thought struck her, piercing through her enthusiasm. What if they don't want to talk? She glanced at Jake, who watched her intently. The affirmation in his eyes fueled her courage, but as she hung up, a new whirlwind of questions consumed her mind. What if I uncover something that changes everything? Each moment now felt charged with urgency. She wasn't just chasing a dream anymore, she was stepping into a mission that might reshape lives. As Mia walked back inside, her heart pounded not just with fear, but with the thrill of possibility. Could she actually build the bridge she envisioned? What stories awaited her? The journey had really just begun, and she could hardly wait to see where it would lead. What obstacles would she face next, and were the veterans ready to open their hearts? Mia tossed and turned all night, a whirlwind of thoughts crashing through her mind like waves against a rocky shore. Each conversation she had imagined with the veterans played out in fragments, their faces, their voices, the stories they carried. When dawn finally broke, soft light filtering through her curtains, she felt both anxious and determined. As she sipped her coffee, the mug warm between her hands, Mia replayed the phone call from the night before. The veteran had agreed to meet her, a meeting scheduled in the park that afternoon. She stared out the window, watching leaves rustle in the trees, and her heart raced at the prospect of finally stepping into this new role. What if I say the wrong thing? She whispered to herself as she flipped through her notes. What could she possibly offer them? Each question seemed like a brick added to an already heavy chain. But she knew she couldn't back down now. By noon, she left her house, the sun bright and encouraging. The park was alive with families enjoying the weather, children laughing as they ran freely, and dogs barking joyously. It felt like a different world compared to the one she was entering. With each step toward the meeting point, her heart thudded louder. When she spotted him sitting on a bench, a man in his late 50s wearing a faded baseball cap, the initial shock of seeing a real veteran hit her like a jolt of electricity. He had a weathered look, a gentle smile, and humor in his eyes that told stories even before he spoke. "Mia?" he called, a hint of curiosity lacing his voice. "Yes, that's me." She rushed over, her nerves pricking at her fingertips. They exchanged pleasantries, shaking hands, and he gestured for her to sit. "Thanks for reaching out. It's not often we get people who really want to listen," he said, his voice warm yet somber. Mia took a deep breath, feeling the weight of that responsibility. "I want to understand your story. Your experiences are important, and I want to help share them." He nodded, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. "A lot of folks forget about us after we hang up our uniforms. We fight our battles in silence." Mia felt her heart tighten. "I want to change that," she said softly, the sincerity pouring from within her. As he began to share snippets of his time in service, a tapestry of emotions colored the air around them. Mia listened attentively, her breath catching at moments of joy and sorrow woven through his words. His laughter was bright and rich, but there were shadows that darkened his smile as he recounted loss and uncertainty. "I never felt like I had someone to talk to after coming home," he admitted, his eyes drifting away momentarily. "It's easy to feel lost in the everyday noise." The connection between them began to blossom. It was more than just an interview, it felt like a genuine conversation, a meeting of souls. Each new detail drew Mia further into his world, unveiling layers of pain, resilience, and hope. After hearing about the struggles he faced, Mia realized how powerful this was. This was more than just collecting stories, it was about creating a network of understanding and support. "Thank you for sharing with me," she said genuinely, her heart swelling with gratitude. She knew this was just the beginning. "I want to keep this going. There are more veterans out there who need to be heard." As they wrapped up their conversation, Mia felt a spark of inspiration ignite within her. She couldn't help but think about how others might feel the same way he did, lost, forgotten, but not without hope. She stood up to leave, feeling both exhilarated and a little shaken. "I'll be in touch. Let us keep talking." She was determined. But just as she began to walk away, he called out, "Wait. There is something I want to show you, something that might change everything." Mia turned, her heart racing. What could it be? What did he mean? In that moment, she realized her journey was taking a turn she had never anticipated. Sometimes, the most unexpected connections could lead to the most beautiful transformations. Mia's heart raced as she turned to face him, a mix of excitement and nervousness bubbling within her. The way he said it, the urgency in his tone, made it impossible to just walk away. She could see he had something important to share. "What is it?" she asked, a thread of anticipation weaving through her voice. The vibrant park behind them faded into the background as all her focus centered on him. He motioned for her to sit back down, and she did, eager to hear whatever it was he wanted to show her. With a serious look on his face, he reached into the worn backpack resting by his feet. The fabric was frayed, like the well-loved shirts hanging in her own closet. The kind of bag that had a life, stories of its own, and it intrigued her. He pulled out a stack of handwritten letters, slightly yellowed with age, and placed them delicately in her hands. "These are the letters I wrote to my family during my service," he explained, his gaze softening as he reminisced. "I never sent them. I thought it might be too much. Crazy, huh?" Mia could hardly breathe. As she scanned the pages, she felt the weight of each word, the longing wrapped in each line. "These are incredible," she murmured, running her fingers over the ink scribbles. "But why didn't you send them?" "It felt safer to keep my thoughts here," he replied, a hint of vulnerability in his voice. "They might not have understood the depth of what I was going through. I didn't want to worry them." She looked up at him, her heart aching for what he had lost in silence. "But you shared so much with me today. Why did you feel safe talking to me?" He took a moment, his eyes twinkling with a mix of gratitude and sadness. "You listen, Mia. It's rare to find someone willing to hear. I see a spark of change in you. I thought maybe, just maybe, it would help if I shared this." Mia nodded, understanding the gravity of his willingness to share. "You're doing more than that. You're opening a door for others, too. Would you let me help you share these letters?" He looked surprised, as if the idea had not crossed his mind. "You think that would be okay?" "Absolutely. Every veteran has a story, and these letters could help others feel less alone," she replied, her excitement weaving through her words. He smiled, the shadows that had lingered over his past starting to lift. "You might just be onto something." As they sat there, the sun dipping low in the sky, it began to feel less like an interview and more like a collaboration. Mia's vision expanded. She pictured a collection of voices, not just one story but many connecting together to create an understanding that had been sorely missing. This was a chance to shine light on the darkness so often cast over veterans' experiences. "Mia, I have one more thing," he said, pulling out an old photo from the same bag. His fingers brushed over it tenderly. "This was my unit. We lost a few during deployment. I think it's important to share their stories too." Mia nodded solemnly, the weight of that responsibility washing over her. "They deserve to be remembered," she said quietly, her voice heavy with emotion. "Let us do this together," he said, a new resolve sparking in his tone. But as they spoke about plans for the letters and honoring those lost, Mia couldn't shake the feeling of something monumental about to unfold. How could they really impact others? Just then, her phone buzzed with a notification. Without looking, she sensed a shift in the atmosphere. What if we could create an event? A gathering? Something bigger? She suggested, her mind racing with possibilities. The veteran's eyes brightened. That could bring so many together. But can we really do it? Mia smiled, a surge of hope igniting within her. I believe we can. As they exchanged ideas, the connection between them deepened, unfurling like the letters that lay between them. Mia felt the weight of a community beginning to rise, echoing her earlier resolve. Yet, somewhere in the back of her mind, a whisper of uncertainty floated. How far could this really go, and would she be ready for what would come next? With hands marked by ink and hearts open wide, they stepped into the unknown, each question propelling them forward. But what did it mean when someone's history became woven with her own? What secrets would unravel along the way? Mia's mind raced with ideas, but there was still a tremor of doubt stirring in her chest. They had barely scratched the surface of what could come next, but the excitement in the air fueled her determination. What about a local community center? She suggested, her eyes lighting up. We can use their space for free. He nodded, leaning forward. That could work. We could invite veterans, their families, make it a safe space for sharing. She could see the vision taking shape in his mind just as it was in hers. We could set up tables filled with stories, make it interactive. Maybe even have a few speakers share their experiences. He smiled, a youthful exuberance breaking through. And I could read some of the letters. It would be like honoring my unit and spreading awareness at the same time. Mia felt the warmth of his enthusiasm, and it ignited something within her too. In that moment, the park around them became not just a backdrop but a canvas for their dreams. Yes. And we can reach out to local businesses for donations, food, drinks, maybe even a band. The more they spoke, the more realistic it all felt. They were building something together, block by block. Each idea laid the foundation for a connection that was both grand and intimate. I can handle social media, she said, a plan unfolding in her mind. We need to get the word out. This is important. We want everyone to feel included. Who knew talking about my letters would lead to this? He chuckled. It feels liberating, to share and think about giving back. Suddenly, a gust of wind rustled the leaves overhead, as if nature was giving them a soft cheer of encouragement. Mia felt a wave of gratitude. Life had a strange way of bringing together the right people at the right moments. But what if he hesitated, his smile fading with worry? What if no one comes? What if this all ends up fizzling out? Mia swallowed hard. She had entertained that fear too, it lingered like a specter in the back of her mind. Then we try again. We evolve. We adapt. But I'd rather take the risk with you than stay quiet. We can't let fear hold us back. His eyes met hers, seeming to gauge her resolve. You really believe we can make this happen, don't you? I do, she replied, her voice steady. We're giving a voice to those who were silenced for too long. We owe it to them and to ourselves to push past the fear. A moment hung thick between them, charged with a newfound urgency. It was the push they needed to step off the cliff into uncharted waters. Their dreams could take flight, and they could be the ones to steer the ship. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting golden light on their plans and aspirations, but just as hope soared, Mia's phone buzzed once more. She glanced down, surprised to see a message from her mother, asking about a previous family gathering. Her heart tightened. The thought of her own family's potential disapproval of her pursuits gripped her. How would they react if she mentioned this new commitment? Would they see it as another stray dream or something meaningful? Everything okay? He asked, sensing her shift in energy. Mia forced a smile, unsure of how to answer. Yeah, just family stuff. And the fear returned. Suddenly the thought of confronting her family with this new endeavor felt daunting. What would they think? But with him beside her, she was reminded that sometimes, battling internal barriers felt just as significant as facing the world. After a moment of silence, he said, "Whatever happens, we're in this together, right?" She nodded, her heart swelling at his solidarity. Together. But just as they were about to dive back into planning, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that everything they were about to create could change the course of not just their lives, but many others. How would they navigate the waves once the tide started turning? And what if, by opening their hearts, they unearthed truths better left buried? Would they be ready for the journey ahead? The next morning brought a fresh clarity. The gentle sunlight streaming through Mia's window felt like an invitation to new beginnings. She sat at her kitchen table, the mug of coffee warming her hands, her mind a whirlwind of tasks and possibilities. Today was the day they would truly get things rolling. There was so much to do, but it still felt like an adventure ahead. Mia pulled out her notebook, its pages mostly blank but bursting with potential. She started jotting down everything they'd need: flyers for outreach, collaboration with businesses, reaching out to local veterans organizations. The more she scribbled, the more hopeful she became. A few hours later, she met him at the community center. He arrived with a box of letters, a tangible piece of himself. She was shocked at how many he had. "You weren't kidding about being a pack rat," she teased with a grin. "Hey, these are memories," he defended, a playful glint in his eye. They settled into a corner of the large, inviting space, filled with sunlight and the faint smell of fresh paint. Mia spread out the papers, organizing them like pieces in a puzzle. Each note was a fragment of someone's truth, a life lived that demanded to be explored. "Mia, do you think I'm crazy for wanting to read these? What if people laugh?" His voice trembled slightly, revealing an underlying unease. "Crazy? Not at all," she assured him, giving his arm a reassuring squeeze. "People are going to connect with these letters. They reflect real struggles and triumphs." As they started planning, the excitement began folding in layers over the worry. They envisioned the layout of tables, perhaps with old army memorabilia set up nearby for touch and storytelling. She suggested they create a section for kids, encouraging them to write their own letters, a legacy of sorts. "Imagine," Mia said, her guidance steady. "The kids could reach out to veterans, write their own messages of thanks. This could be more than just a sharing, this could be a connection across generations." He nodded, the idea sparking something in his eyes. "And we can invite them to read their letters, share what they wrote and why it mattered." It was a simple, yet profound step. Each plan made them feel lighter, and soon, the heavy doubt began to lift as laughter and camaraderie filled the space between them. As they moved closer to the planning's end, Mia couldn't shake an unsettled feeling deep inside her. She forced herself to focus but soon realized it was the weight of telling her family about this new direction. The thought of their judgment hung heavily over her. "I've got to head out for a bit," she murmured, breaking the momentum. "Everything okay?" he asked, reading her expression. "Just family stuff," she said, echoing her previous response, the words feeling hollow now. "Do you want to talk about it?" he pressed gently. Mia hesitated. Could she voice her worries? "I just want them to understand why this matters to me," she finally admitted, her voice quieter. He smiled sympathetically. "You deserve to be supported, Mia. Don't let their opinions dim your light." She took a breath, comforted by the earnest tone. She didn't want familial expectations to stand in the way of what felt right. But as she leaned back, a thought struck her. What if she shared her journey as it evolved? What if by being open, her family saw the beauty in her passion? That made her heart race, excitement coiling with uncertainty. "Yeah. That could work," she whispered, filling with newfound energy. They spent the rest of the afternoon lost in logistics, laughter echoing off the walls of the center. But beneath the surface, Mia reflected on her family's reaction. The weight of their expectations loomed even as hope soared. That evening, as she prepared to head home, she realized they were standing on the edge of something profound, but what would it reveal? Would their first event bring unity, connection, healing? Or would truths come out that shook her to the core? And what if, in all her courage to stand up, she discovered something about herself she wasn't ready to face? As the sun dipped low in the sky, painting everything in hues of orange and pink, Mia drove home with her thoughts swirling like leaves in the wind. Her heart raced, not just from the thrill of the day, but from the looming conversations ahead. The anticipation of sharing her plans with her family filled her with both hope and dread. Pulling into her driveway, she took a moment to breathe. The familiar scent of the blooming lilacs in her yard wafted through the open window, grounding her in the present. But as she stepped into the house, the fray of noise greeted her: the clinking of dishes, the hum of the television, and the laughter of her younger siblings playing in the living room. It was a comforting chaos, yet it simultaneously ignited a knot of anxiety in her stomach. "Hey, Mia. You're just in time for dinner," her mother called out, wiping her hands on a dish towel. The warmth in her voice was a gentle reminder of home. "Yeah, just let me wash up first," Mia replied, forcing a smile as she headed to the bathroom. She splashed water on her face, hoping it would wash away the trepidation that clung to her. Sitting at the dinner table, Mia tried to engage in the light-hearted banter, but her mind drifted. Each laugh from her family felt like a reminder of the expectations waiting for her. They didn't understand her heart like he did. Could they really grasp the importance of what she was trying to do? The letters, the stories, the connections, it all felt so vital to her now. "Mia, you've been awfully quiet tonight. What's up?" her father asked, his brow furrowed with concern. Every word seemed to press heavier on her shoulders. "Nothing, Dad. Just thinking," she answered weakly. He exchanged a look with her mother, one of those knowing glances that said they weren't buying it. "Thinking can be good, but it can also mean something is bothering you," he persisted gently. Maybe this was the moment. The words clawed at her throat. Mia glanced down at her plate, an unspoken connection weaving through the air like a thread. "I've been working on a project. It's different." Her mother leaned in, curiosity lighting her eyes. "Different how?" Mia took a deep breath, summoning her courage. "I'm helping to organize an event to connect veterans with the community. It's about sharing stories through letters and giving kids a chance to write to them." To her surprise, she felt the tide shift as her family absorbed her words. Her youngest sister looked thrilled, her face lighting up. "Can I write a letter?" "That sounds awesome." Mia's heart swelled, but then doubt crept back in. "But not everyone will think it's a good idea. What if they laugh?" "There's always going to be people who don't understand," her father said, his tone surprisingly firm. "But that shouldn't stop you from doing something meaningful. What matters is how this makes you feel." Mia blinked back sudden tears. She hadn't expected such support, especially from someone who often expressed traditional views. Could it be that they truly wanted to see her flourish? Her mother reached out, squeezing her hand gently. "We believe in you, Mia. Go for it. Just share your heart." Their words wrapped around her like a warm blanket. For the first time today, the fear began to transform into something else: resolve. "Yes, I will share my heart," she whispered, a wave of relief washing over her. But beneath the surface, a new concern bubbled up. What if her journey influenced not just her future, but the very fabric of her family's beliefs as well? What would happen if she challenged their views in ways they weren't ready for? That night, as the last echoes of laughter faded into the darkness, Mia lay awake, contemplating the intertwining paths of her courage and their acceptance. The night held a promise of change, but where would it lead them? What unexpected revelations awaited Mia as she opened this new chapter? Would it deepen her bond with her family or fracture the foundation she'd always known? Mia sat at her desk, the morning sun filtering through the window, casting a warm glow across the room. She could hardly believe that the day had finally come. The event she had envisioned so intensely was about to unfold in just hours. With each tick of the clock, excitement bubbled in her chest while butterflies danced in her stomach. She threw on her favorite navy blouse, the one that felt like a shield, and picked up her phone to text Jake. "Today's the day. Are you ready?" She hit send, her heart racing in sync with the rapid-fire anticipation. His quick reply brought a grin to her face. "Let's make some magic happen." As she arrived at the community center, the air was filled with an electric energy. Volunteers were bustling about, setting up tables, arranging chairs, and hanging colorful banners that echoed her passion for this initiative. They moved with purpose, and watching them filled Mia with pride. She could hardly grasp how many people believed in this vision. Jake greeted her with a beaming smile. "Look! It's all coming together." He gestured toward the tables piled high with memories in the form of letters, photos, and memorabilia. It was a collection that now felt monumental, a tapestry woven from shared stories. Mia felt the warmth of camaraderie as they worked side by side. Young children were outside, scribbling letters and drawing pictures. The vibrant scene amplified her hopes. Here was the magic she had wanted, a blend of joy, respect, and everybody contributing to something greater. But just as Mia's heart began to swell with hope, an unsettling thought crept in. What if nobody shows up? What if this all falls flat? She voiced her concern to Jake, who was busy hanging a banner. "Hey," he paused to meet her eyes. "No matter what happens, you're doing something amazing. This takes guts, and that's what matters. You're creating connections, people will feel that. Trust in the power of stories." Mia inhaled deeply, grounding herself in his words. She had come so far. Today marked the culmination of months of planning, organizing, and connecting. As the hour approached, a trickle of people began to wander in. The initial wave quickly steadily grew as friends and families gathered, uniting to witness the threads of stories meant to be shared. The cheers of the children filled the air like uplifting notes from a joyful song. When the time arrived for her to speak, Mia stood before the assembly, her heart pounding in her chest. Each face before her reflected various lives intricately woven into one community. She opened her mouth, and the words flowed like an unstoppable river. "Thank you all for being here. Today is about honoring veterans, their stories, their sacrifices, and the healing that comes from sharing them. Every letter on these tables holds a piece of someone's heart." She paused, letting her gaze drift across the audience. "Let us work together to remove the silence that often follows service members home." Applause filled the hall, and she could see George, beaming with pride from the back. In that moment, bright energy surged through Mia. She glanced down at the letters on the table and saw the small children's drawings, innocent interpretations of bravery and love. The vibrations of sheer hope echoed in the air around her. As speakers took to the stage, sharing their experiences, laughter mingled with tears, a symphony of resilience and connection. Each story hung on the threads of vulnerability, and Mia felt the tapestry of her vision grow ever richer. Later that day, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Mia wandered amongst the tables filled with memories. It was true, each conversation opened doors they hadn't realized were there. She spotted the veteran whose letters had sparked the entire initiative, his eyes shimmering with tears. "I never imagined something like this could happen," he said softly, his hands trembling with emotion. For the first time, Mia understood the gravity of her endeavor. Every fear she had faced, every moment spent doubting her capabilities melted away like morning mist in the sun. She didn't just take a step toward her dreams, she transformed the very landscape of how they all viewed the connections forged through shared experiences. As families departed, bonds strengthened, and love felt evident. Mia caught Jake's gaze across the room, and they exchanged a radiant smile of shared triumph. They had built something beautiful, transcending barriers. "Are you ready for the next chapter?" he asked as they began to tidy up the hall, laughter still echoing in their hearts. "More than anything," she replied, her voice steady. Today had been more than a success, it had become a movement. But beyond the joy, unexpected truths lingered, truths about her family, her community, and the ways they would grow, both together and apart. Mia knew she'd have to navigate that future, leading with the courageous heart she had honed. She felt it in her bones this was just the beginning. And so she clung to the idea that the stories shared today would ripple outward into an awakening she could only begin to fathom. So, what would the next chapter hold? Would they unite further in their mission? Or would the deeper truths expose the fragility woven into their lives? And in that uncertainty, Mia found strength, ready to embrace the journey ahead. If you believe in the power of stories, subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive tales of transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm that helps spread stories that matter. Comment on your feelings about this ending and share how it inspired you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through your actions.